Hello, YouTube and Whooper Club fans. Coach of the Route 1 Birbs, it's me, Fruit Taco, coming at you with another feature match from WCL Season 12. This week we have Knife Wizard and his Seattle Steamrollers going up against Dash Dude's Lairon. The Steamrollers suffered their first defeat of the season last week against yours truly, but the Lairon upset me in week 1. Does this mean they could pull off another upset this week? Well, they certainly have a chance. Let's dig into it. For the Steamrollers, we have Lairon, Cinderace, Floatzel, Gengar, Iron Treads, Sandy Shocks, Aqua Breed Tauros, Dragonite, who cannot Terra, Pelipper, Grimmsnarl, and Hatterene. On the Lairon side, we have Jolteon, Chi-Yu, who cannot Terra, Staraptor, Crocodile, Glimmora, Quaquaval, Poltegeist, Iron Hands, Hippowdon, Dondozo, and Bronzong. As always, let's check out the speed tiers in this matchup, and while the Lairon have the fastest Pokemon in the matchup in Jolteon, it's not even close to an even speed matchup. The Steamrollers have 6 Pokemon that all outspeed the Lairon's second fastest Pokemon, not to mention the possibility of Swift Swim and a lot of priority options as well. The Lairon do have some ways to boost their speed with moves like Flame Charge, Aqua Step, and Shell Smash, but they are way behind in the speed game. Maybe they'll try leaning into it with something like Trick Room Bronzong? Well, we'll have to see. The Lairon do have some good things going for them, though. Jolteon offers good pivoting with Volt Switch or even Baton Pass to pivot around the ground types. Staraptor needs to play around Gengar's immunities, but absolutely smashes into things with a Scarf or even a Choice Band. And of course, Chi-Yu is just an insane Pokemon. Sure, the Steamrollers have resists, but Chi-Yu just doesn't care, and still at worst two-shots basically everything, even without specs. I do think they have an uphill battle, though. For the Steamrollers, the newly acquired Sandy Shocks is absolutely fantastic here, with Dual Stab hitting 7 Pokemon super effectively, 8 if Bronzong doesn't have Levitate, including hitting Dondozo on its regular special side. With no Dragon immunities and only 1 resist, Dragon Dance Dragonite also looks great, or maybe even banded with Extreme Speed. Tauros resists both of Chi-Yu's stabs, so something like Bulky Assault Vest could be a good set. And, well, all the other fast options look good too. Gengar, Lairon, Cinderace, Iron Treads, each of them put out plenty of pressure, especially if they're behind something like Screens from Grimmsnarl. The Steamrollers look like the team to beat in the Johto Conference for a reason, and I think they're the clear favorites here. The Lairon have the potential for an upset here, though, but what are they going to actually have to contend with to pull that off? Well, for this match, the Steamrollers are bringing Assault Vest Tauros like I had hypothesized. Max attack, max speed with Trail Blaze, Raging Bull, Wild Charge, and Aqua Jet. Without investment, it's not going to take too many Chi-Yu hits, but it'll definitely take some. Tauros takes any 2-stab hits from Chi-Yu as long as it doesn't have choice specs, but it does need to watch out for potential psychic coverage. And Terra Electric also lets it resist a hit from Jolteon, as well as boost Wild Charge into the likes of Staraptor, Dondozo, and Quaquaval. Next up is a fairly standard dual screens Grimmsnarl, Light Clay boosting those Prankster screens, Priority Parting Shot, and Play Rough as a damaging move. Terra Steel lets it resist Steel, Poison, and Fairy moves it's normally weak to, but I don't expect this to tear in the actual match. Here is that scary Sandy Shocks, though, with Choice Specs, Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Earth Power, and Stealth Rocks. Terra Fairy is an interesting option, lets it resist Dark and Fighting, as well as no longer be weak to Water, but I'm not sure if that defensive profile does more for it than just boosting one of its already great stabs. Following up Shocks is Gengar with its own pair of choice specs, Sludge Bomb and Shadow Ball stabs with Energy Ball for good coverage, and Trick to cripple a wall seems like a really good set. Terra Grass lets Energy Ball pick up the Okos on the legs of Hippowdon and Dondozo, and lets it still at worst two-shot them if it's tricked away its specs. To push the speed advantage even farther, Lairon is coming with a Choice Scarf and plenty of investment. This set outspeeds even modest Scarfed Jolteon and everything else, including max speed Poltegeist after a Shell Smash. Defog and U-Turn give it some utility, while Draco Meteor and Terra Normal boosted Boom Burst give it some spammable options to take out opposing Mons with speed boosts or their own Scarfs. And last up is Dragonite, the 4th choice-locked Mon here with a Choice Band to round out the choiced crew. Max attack and max HP let it sit around and deal damage with Outrage, Extreme Speed, Fire Punch, and Earthquake, letting it absolutely smack something no matter the situation. Terra Poison lets it resist Fairy moves while not being weak to Fire and fighting like Terra Steel would make it. This is a monster of a team, I just gotta say. How will the Lairon be able to handle it? First up is max HP, almost max speed Jolteon. It's running a support set with Thunder Wave, Wish, Protect, and Volt Switch to pivot wishes around the team with its boosts, letting it avoid any hazard chip while it's doing that. Terra Ghost lets it be immune to fighting moves from Tauros and extreme speed from Dragonite, but I think it most importantly lets it act as a spin blocker, but with no way to touch Iron Treads, it can't function too well in that role. Something that definitely can hit Treads, though, is Choice Scarf Modest Chi-Yu with just enough speed to outspeed the Steamrollers' whole team without any boosts of their own. Overheat, Flamethrower, and Dark Pulse are going to be throwing out huge damage, with Psychic hitting the Tauros that resists both stabs. If this thing gets in off enough, it's really going to start quickly shredding through the Steamrollers team. Next up is Adamant Max Attack Quaquaval with a Life Orb to put out damage on the physical side. Aqua Step lets it raise its speed at the same time and can be further boosted by Terra Water, while Close Combat, Ice Spinner, and U-Turn give it raw damage, coverage, pivoting, and just a generally balanced set. With the speed tiers how they are, it really wants that speed boost from Aqua Step, but it's going to have to look for where it can actually pick it up, but if it does, it's going to be pretty scary. Glimmora is coming with max HP and max speed, as well as a Focus Sash. Rocks, Spikes, and its Toxic Debris ability offer tons of hazards, while Mortal Spin can clear any on its own side, and Power Gem gives it a good attacking option. Terra Flying lets it dodge ground-type attacks, but I'm a little unsure of this set overall. With Magic Bounce Hatterene and one of the best spinners in the game, Iron Treads, both clearing hazards and threatening this set while not really being hit hard by it, I think I'd have liked to see it be more offensive. Earth Power would have given it super effective coverage for Treads, Gengar, and Sandy Shocks, while Sludge Bomb does big damage to Grimmsnarl and Hatterene. Something like Toxic with the Corrosion ability would have been another interesting way to deal with the likes of Iron Treads. This set isn't bad per se, but I think it's a bit too passive given how much offensive pressure they can expect from the Steamrollers. Moving on, we have max defense, almost max HP Dondoza with a Rocky Helmet and the Sleep Talk Curse Liquidation set. Terra Steel lets it trade one great defensive type for another depending on the situation, and if the Steamroller's special attackers can be dealt with, then this might be able to just wall through the remaining physical mons. Last up is also max defense, max HP Hippowdon. Lefties and Terra Fairy let it wall even better and gain an important dragon immunity. Earthquake, Slack Off, Yawn, and Whirlwind let it stall out and annoy the opposing team too. I have liked to see specially defensive investment to wall Sandy Shocks and Gengar better, as Dondozo is already an impressive physical wall, but I don't know, maybe the coach is just that afraid of Dragonite, Tauros, and Cinderace? Well, I don't know. Will that be a good call? Well, let's dive into the match, and we'll find out. Okay, and well, here we go. With these two teams, and the Steamrollers team, well, it just looks devastating. Shocks, Gengar, and Noivern are going to go off, especially since we know that the Lairon don't have a dedicated special wall. Meanwhile, Chi-Yu is almost as spammable as Shocks, but is going to run into some opposition being threatened by Aqua Jets and Extreme Speed, while potentially having to fight through a Light Screen. Will the bulk of the Lairon be able to eat enough hits to break the relatively frail threats on the other side? Well, here we go. Let's find out. Turn 1, Dragonite's going to be sent out against Glimmora. Power Gem's going to break the multi-scale, but Earthquake's going to come out and bring it down to Sash while proccing that Toxic Debris. Hippo comes out to preserve Glimmora, as Dragonite is going to also switch out into Sandy Shocks, who's going to get poisoned. Both coaches here are going to make a big call. Sandy Shock stays in to do, well, over half, but Hippo ends up whirlwinding Sandy Shocks out into Noivern. This turn was a huge gamble, as Sandy Shocks looks like the best mon in the matchup, and an EQ from Hippowdon is actually a guaranteed OHKO after the poison damage. Knife Wizard makes the read, though, that with two good flying types to switch in, the Hippo would go for rocks or really anything that isn't an Earthquake. Dash Dude predicted something like that and went for a Whirlwind, but gets punished with huge damage and bringing in the Defogger for free. A real tough double whammy there for the Lairon. Glimmora is going to come in here as a sack, as with no resist, Terra Normal Boom Burst comes out and is very spammable. But now Jolteon is out. Grimmsnarl is going to come out to eat a hit, but Jolteon just sets up a wish probably intended for Hippowdon. I'd expect a screen, but actually Parting Shot comes out, bringing in Gengar before Jolteon's going to Volt Switch out into, yep, the Hippowdon to catch that Wish and bring it back pretty healthy. With no special defense investment, Energy Ball easily KOs from this range, but that gives Chi-Yu a free switch-in. Gengar actually gets sacked here for information as the Scarf is revealed on Chi-Yu and Tauros can safely come in. Chi-Yu switches into Jolteon, but Tauros does a quarter with Trail Blaze and, well, now it outspeeds. Raging Bull misses the max roll to KO, and Volt Switch does half before bringing in Dondozo. Wild Charge does under a quarter, and Recoil plus Rocky Helmet hurt as Dozo is going to set up a Curse. Wild Charge will end up sacking the Tauros and give up another Curse to this Dondozo, but even with those boosts, well, Sandy Shocks is back out, and that's not special boosts. Jolteon switches in to absorb an electric move, but Earth Power comes out instead and picks up a KO. But where are the Chi-Yu resists now? Grimmsnarl switches in and gets smacked by Flamethrower and Poison, but just manages to hang on. Fortunately, it looks like even a max roll would just miss the KO here. Overheat was probably the play here, as Dragonite was the only thing not KO'd by it, and now Grimmsnarl has time to set up one screen, which could be rough for the rest of the game. Grimmsnarl will die to Poison, so Chi-Yu switches into Dondozo as Light Screen is set up, and now Shocks is right back out. Steel Terra means Dozo isn't knocked out by Volt Switch, but D Knight is going to easily take the Liquidation coming out. Even resisted E-Speed is a guaranteed KO here, and now, well, who's next? It's Quaquaval here trying to do something. Banded E-Speed does over half, but Quad Effective Ice Spinner easily KOs, and now Noivern's going to come out here, fearing an Aqua Jet coming out that could hit the Sandy Shocks. Boomburst is going to pick up the KO, and, well, it's Chi-Yu versus the screen to close out the match. Max roll on the crit Boomburst doesn't KO, but the crit Flamethrower does KO, and now it's down to 1 mon each. Lightning doesn't strike twice today, though, and the screen lets Sandy Shock survive to finish up the game. Wow, that was really close. Even after taking all that damage on Hippowdon early, Dash Dude really found a way to get back in the fight. If he had clicked EQ there and KO'd Sandy Shocks early, well, we'd be looking at a very different game. Another chance to KO Shocks could have been predicting that Earth Power on Dondozo, which it would have lived and then KO'd back with the Liquidation, but Volt Switch or Thunderbolt would have KO'd Dozo or given Jolteon some HP back, so that would have been a hard play to commit to, and I understand just going for the safe play. Well played by Dash Dude, but even better played by Knife Wizard, who was just one step ahead the entire time with his Sandy Shocks plays. Talk about a debut week for the newly acquired Pokemon. Well, thank you so much to both of our coaches for this very exciting match, and, well, thanks to you at home for watching. Check out the description for links to content from some of our other coaches, and of course, like, comment, subscribe, and whatever else YouTube wants you to do these days. I've been Fruit Taco, and I'll see you next week for another feature match.